Buy or sell. Tua has made his last start for the Dolphins. Feels like Sam went easy on this one.
If I could be that crazy guy, was it Jim Cramer? Buy. Yeah, there's no way he's playing for the Dolphins again. After he said that statement, there was no way in hell anyway. But once again, new coach, new GM. I don't know how they're going to do the cap hit. It's massive.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
New York Giants, they fired their head coach, Brian Daboll. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Look at a cow sheet right now, Joe. 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Welcome into NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Happy Friday, getting you ready for the National Football League wildcard games and the National Championship on Monday night. So get ready for all of it. We'll bring in Bill Bender from Sporting News to get the very latest on the odds and certainly where things stand. Also, latest in the NBA from our very own NBA expert, Coach Young, is in the house. Robert Linehan is in also from Sports Radar, and John Lafayette breaks down the latest in media. Then, of course, we'll cap it all off with Mike Blewett, who you catch every weekend here on SportsGrid, breaking down the National Football League on our in-game live shows and Pro Football Today. But first, let's get started with the latest on the prediction market saga, which continues, of course, here into January. Big news out of FanDuel. They predict continued expansion. All states, all 50 states, some sort of prediction market going to be launched. It was already live in 18 states. For now, the other 32 get finance, economic, and commodity markets through FanDuel Predicts. So FanDuel, the first prediction company to go live in every single state here in the United States, despite some pushback, of course, from the states that have legalized sports betting. Meanwhile, big news in Major League Baseball. Biggest single AAV contract given out in the history of the game goes to Kyle Tucker, now formerly of the Chicago Cubs. Big surprise, though, last night. He ends up with the Los Angeles Dodgers, getting approximately $60 million a season for 4 seasons. He joins a star-studded cast already in Los Angeles, a team that won the World Series last year. Of course, that kept other teams at bay wondering if they were going to end up with him, including the New York Mets. But The Athletic is reporting today that the Mets have pivoted and are signing Bo Bichette to a 3-year contract. Of course, the Mets already have a really good shortstop in Francisco Lindor, so I suppose the 3-year... Okay, so our producer Frank says 3 years, $126 million, approximately 40-something million per season to play second base, of course, for the Mets, because I don't believe Lindor would move over to second. I guess we will see. We'll give you the latest on that a little bit later. Yeah, they just signed Simeon too. Maybe Simeon goes to third base. Can't figure out what the Mets are doing this offseason, honestly. That's why we're here to help you here on the show. Okay, let's get now to the National Football League. This was big news yesterday, in case you missed it. Point spread off the board in some spots, by the way. Sam Darnold, quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, injured his oblique during Thursday's practice. He expects to face the San Francisco 49ers, but there was a period of time yesterday that there were no odds whatsoever on this game. We'll see if this affects his throwing into the big game against the Niners tomorrow. Meanwhile, what will the Philadelphia Eagles do about their star wide receiver, A.J. Brown? Constant trade discussions going on during the season. Seems like there was a battle with him and Nick Sirianni after the season. The good news is they're saying all the right things. That would include their general manager, Howie Roseman, who was asked about a potential trade with A.J. Brown heading somewhere else.
Yeah, we talked about this, I think, at the trade deadline last time I talked. It is hard to find great players in the NFL, and AJ is a great player. I think from my perspective, that's what we're going out and looking for when we go out here in free agency in the draft, is trying to find great players who love football, and he's that guy. So I think that would be my answer.
Meanwhile, Patrick Mahomes, for the first time, met with the media since his surgery. Going to miss extended period of time, of course. But Mahomes yesterday said that there's a really good chance that he will be ready for the start of the season.
Yeah, first off, rehab's going great so far. Just hitting all the checkpoints that the doctor wants you to do and getting the strength and the range of mobility back. So that's been going great. Been doing all of it here in Kansas City so far. And Julie has been crushing it, pushing me, and the doctor kind of gives you like goals to get to, and I just try to maximize those, and they hold me back because I always want to go a little bit further. So it's been going great. I mean, obviously, I think the long term. I want to be ready for week one. Our doctor said that I could be, but I can't predict what's going to happen throughout the process. But that's my goal, and so I'll try to prepare myself to be ready to play in that week one and have no restrictions. You want to be out there healthy and giving us the best chance to win. And so obviously, hopefully be able to do some stuff in OTAs and then get to training camp and hopefully be able to do a lot there. So I'm excited for the process. It's a long process, but I'm excited for it.
In the NBA, Oklahoma City seemingly getting things on track a day after beating San Antonio. They end up taking care of the Houston Rockets, 111-91, back-to-back wins against really good teams. SGA had 20 points in this one, and the Thunder were 4.5-point favorites. That means also that Houston has now lost 4 of their past 5 games. Mark Daigneault saying that there was no panic when the team was going through their struggles. They're certainly staying with the process.
It's not really a response. I mean, we're just, trying to be as consistent as we can, possession by possession. And it's an 82-game season. We know that there's going to be ups and downs, and there's going to be challenges along the way. And our job is to try to be as consistent as possible as those come up. Tonight was a great challenge for us. It was a road game that, it's a place we haven't won a lot the last couple of years. We've had a hard time winning here against an opponent that we knew was going to be hungry for the game, that was going to try to be really physical and bring the fight to us. And we stayed with the game, did a great job on Durant, battled on the glass, worked possessions on offense, and were able to bust the door down in the fourth quarter.
We are out there just taking what the game gave us. We've gotten to a point that, we understand that in the biggest games, when it matters the most, that's what gets you over the hump. Not forcing anything, just letting the game come to you, playing for each other. And to have the opportunity tonight to kind of build that muscle against a good team, a good defense, was a good opportunity, and I think we got better and took advantage of the moment.
Meanwhile, the Spurs are catching the Milwaukee Bucks at the right time. Milwaukee now has lost 3 straight games. The Spurs now pick up a win this week, beating the Bucks 119-101. They were 7.5-point favorites. Wemby went down with an injury, but seems like he will be okay. He's been has some injury issues, of course, already this season. Already with issues, though, Giannis, 21 points yesterday, 3 straight losses for his Bucks. Right now, on the outside looking in playoff contention, seemingly looking for some answers, is the former MVP.
Yeah, the ball is not going in. I think 2 games we scored under 100, right?
You got 101 tonight, but yes.
We got 101 on 98.
It was goaltend. 101.
It was goaltend? Yeah. Thank God. Last game?
I think
under. Under?
Yeah.
So yeah, we gotta be more aggressive. We gotta see the ball go in. We gotta stop playing side to side and play downhill more. I gotta facilitate more, try to create even more open looks as much as I can. That's pretty much it. And then we just gotta, our urgency, our effort gotta be just higher. I feel like in the first quarter, second quarter, we were really good and just slip away. I don't know why that happens, but we gotta figure it out.
Warriors defeat the struggling Knicks last night, 126-113. Of course, Jalen Brunson struggling with an injury in this one, not yet back. Golden State 7.5-point favorites. Combination of Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry came through. 32 for Butler, 27 for Steph Curry. So the Warriors, not in a great mood all season long, seemingly feeling a lot better after last night.
Well, we're different. We're a different team. Last year, we went on a great run, down the stretch of the season. Jimmy was only here for 30 games, and it just felt like a sprint. This is the marathon all year long. It's a much different dynamic when you're playing 82 versus, playing 30. And so we're in it for the long haul, but we have Melt, we have Al, we have a different team this year than we had last year, but we're starting to catch some momentum and playing pretty well.
What got it going in the second half for you or a little later in the game?
Just keep shooting. Try not to ever overthink or dwell on some tough shooting situations, especially, the pressure they were trying to apply early in the game, and they were all over the place, defensively. So just stick with it, wear them down, know I'll get some good looks, stay confident, try to do what I always do.
Lakers' favorites yesterday go down to the Hornets. Final score in that one, by the way, 135-117. LaMelo Ball with the monster game, 30 points and 11 assists as the Hornets pick up that win. Coming up next, Coach Young is in the house for a look at last night's games and a preview of the weekend ahead. You're watching NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Sell. Tua has made his last start for the Dolphins. Feels like Sam went easy on this one.
If I could be that crazy guy, was it Jim Cramer? Bye. Yeah, there's no way he's playing for the Dolphins again. After he said that statement, there was no way in hell anyway. But once again, new coach, new GM. I don't know how they're going to do the cap hit. It's massive.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
New York Giants, they fired their head coach, Brian Dable. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Now, welcome back to NewsWire. Before we douse you with a lot of NFL and college football talk, let's finish off and get ready for the weekend in the NBA, because truly speaking, this is pretty much center stage for the NBA from after this week through the end of the NBA season. Coach Young is here with us as we'll take a look at the second season of the National Basketball Association. What will it be for the New York Knicks, Coach? I mean, the Knicks were phenomenal for like a while. Now, all of a sudden, they've seemingly hit the skids, losing to the Kings, last night losing to the Warriors. Jimmy Butler goes off. Steph goes off too. It's just been a really rough few weeks. And, Coach, I always say that, like, don't overreact to this sort of stuff because it's just like the NBA and baseball. Every team goes through a few weeks where they hit a skid and then they pick it back up. Do you believe that to be the case with the Knicks?
The Knicks are not playing well, Craig, and great to be on with you as always. But they're dealing with injuries. Obviously, part of the time the Knicks have not played well over the last month was the Josh Hart injury sustained Christmas Day in their win versus Cleveland. But now Jalen Brunson goes down to an injury. And now a lot of the question now doesn't focus on that guy, OJ Anunoby. It's focused on Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns that got really blasted by Coach Mike Woodson. Mike Woodson, what am I thinking about? Mike Brown, in not hustling back after a play against Sacramento. Then he gets punked out by Draymond. Now, listen, he did give you 20 rebounds last night and 17 points. But the question needs to ask is Karl Anthony Towns, who makes $53 million, a legitimate number one scoring option? I think he's proven in Minnesota and now proven without Brunson at times. The answer is no. And that is a lot of money, Craig, to be paying someone to be a number two option.
Yeah, have to figure that out maybe in the offseason. But for now, the beat rolls on. Speaking of which, the Hornets have some very peculiar big wins this season. Not a good team, but they seemingly end up beating some good teams somehow. Last night, they were not a significant dog, but they beat the Lakers, 3.5-point underdogs. They win 135 to 117. Melo Ball, arguably his best game of the season or close to it. And look, those two guys on the Lakers keep scoring every time they play, Coach. Like, Luka and LeBron, they keep doing well. But the third option is where things get a little bit dicey, and we've seen J.J. Redick lose his cool a few times here in these post games. But beyond making a move, and I feel like we talk about this, Coach, every year with the Lakers, who are they going to get? Who are they going to get? When is it going to happen? And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Is that the case again at the trade deadline here for them to get better?
Let's attack both teams. Let's start with the Lakers, Craig, and they're top heavy. Let's be honest. And Rich Paul made some comments about maybe trading Austin Reeves. Here's the thing, Craig, and I'm going to say something that's pretty hot, and I talked about it last night on Game Time Decisions with our buddy Kevin Walsh. The Lakers got to move either LeBron or Austin Reeves. One of them's got to be moved. And if you're the Lakers, you have to think about, do you try and hit a home run right now, right, by trading Reeves, getting more back and trying to win now? Or do you keep Reeves with Luka, which I would do, move LeBron, and set yourself up for the future? They don't have anybody else that's, to me, a worthy commodity to get moved to make them better. So you have to move one of those two guys. Let's get to Charlotte. Craig, I was very, very, very high. I was one of the very few people that were very high on Charlotte before the season began, because I closed my eyes and said, LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Bridges, Knipple. Oh my God, that's a really good starting five. What needed to happen is they needed everyone to be healthy, including LaMelo, and LaMelo has to pick his spots, meaning when does he go off scoring? When does he pass the ball? Well, Craig, they met each other in Los Angeles, where he scored 30, got 11 assists, but Knipple gets you 19, Bridges gives you 25, Miller gives you 26. They don't have much of a bench. Kyle Burner's been pretty good. And I like Charles Lee as a coach. This team is slowly, Craig, starting to figure it out. You know that 30-point win they had at Oklahoma City. But they're young. So they're going to give you those maddening losses, but then you're going to give you wins like last night, going away versus the Lakers, and say, okay, like this team's got something here. The question is can they find consistent play?
Speaking of the Lakers, big favorites to make the playoffs, but beyond that, you're throwing a dart here. 22-1 to win the West, 35-1 to win the Finals. Even Luka at this point, who was 3-1 to win the MVP, has fallen back to 6.5-1 this season. Meanwhile, Coach, let's go over the games tonight in the National Basketball Association. We'll start off with the Cleveland Cavaliers finally feeling a little bit better about themselves. We kind of know who the 76ers are. I feel like that's the case. Total 234.5. These teams, I believe, just played each other as well. So what do you make of the rematch tonight?
Well, Cleveland won 133-107 behind Donovan Mitchell's 35 points and 9 assists. But the key is getting everybody back, right? Mobley's back, Allen's back. Philadelphia's been really good. Obviously, we can talk about what has been at Tyrese Maxey, but Cleveland just hasn't gotten going yet. Maybe this is a win that kind of spearheads them and gets them going. I like Cleveland tonight. I think they could be about to start a little bit of a run here the second half of the year.
The Los Angeles Clippers are starting their run now, Coach. It does seem to me that they finally figured it out. It took a long time. We were talking about maybe dismantling everybody, not making the playoffs. I feel like they're on their way. Odds makers have adjusted. They're finally road favorites now tonight at Toronto. Total 215.5. Kawhi Leonard, in the place where he won his championship in Toronto. Does he just keep it going tonight? Because he's playing out of this world, at least at the moment.
Well, we'll see what happens. Last game they won, obviously, versus the Wizards, winning by 14 before heading on the road trip. Had some guys knocked out. I was really big on this Clippers team before the season started. I think they could actually make a run. I wouldn't be surprised if they won and won outright going away at the Raptors.
And finally, the Rockets coming off their loss last night, 3.5-point favorites tonight against the Timberwolves, total 225.5. Coach, let's end it here.
I'm concerned. I know it's back-to-back. I know they're at home. That's my concern. Timberwolves playing better basketball. No and rely on Julius Randle. I will take the points with the Minnesota Timberwolves because of the back-to-back with the Rockets, even though they did not play well last night.
All right, Coach. Have a great weekend. Thanks again.
Thanks, Craig.
Preview the NFL games up next. Don't go away. Buy or sell. Tua has made his last start for the Dolphins. Feels like Sam went easy on this one.
If I could be that crazy guy, was it Jim Cramer? Buy. Yeah, there's no way he's playing for the Dolphins again. After he said that statement, there was no way in hell anyway. But once again, new coach, new GM. I don't know how they're going to do the cap hit. It's massive.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
New York Giants. They fired their head coach, Brian Dable. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
We've almost reached the next round of the NFL playoffs. Those games begin tomorrow afternoon. We'll preview several of them in this edition of the SportsGrid Sound Off. The line has indeed flipped. The Denver Broncos are now a 1.5 favorite against the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo, of course, coming off an emotional win last week in Jacksonville. The Broncos have a bye week, but these teams are no stranger to one another. They played each other last year in the playoffs. And it is that playoff experience. There's no question the Buffalo Bills are way ahead of the Broncos in terms of that. But is that enough to defeat the Broncos coming up this weekend? Let's find out and hear from head coach of the Bills, Sean McDermott.
Well, I believe it starts with experience. When you go through, we've been through a number of playoff games, different venues, what have you. It's, you kind of, I don't want to say get used to it, but there's a certain level of poise you build and composure from the experiences you go through. And then his process this time of year is as good as anybody's out there. And it's, we were where we were last week and we turned the page, and now we're focused on all of our process this week. And we stay true to that process. And that's usually what'll set you up to give yourself a chance at least.
The Saturday night game, which is tomorrow night, is going to be in Seattle. It's the third matchup this season between the 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. The teams have played pretty close, including a couple of weeks ago where Seattle ended up picking up a win, which led to them getting the number 1 overall seed and the division. So Kyle Shanahan, very familiar with this showdown, but says you can't really use familiarity. Got to change it up in order to get yourself a win.
You'll see when you get to the game, but it's you definitely can't overthink it. But it's also at the same time kind of hard to overthink. Not anything has gone down since the last game. Well, they've got to watch 70 or so plays of whatever we did versus Philly. But we get in late, whatever, and there's one game for us to watch, and that's the one that we all watched last week. So you only can watch that so much. We know each other very well. We played against each other a ton. The schemes, even last time we played, didn't change much on both sides as opposed to week 1. So I think both teams got an idea of exactly what to expect. There's always wrinkles and timing and situational when you're going to see that stuff, but it kind of simplifies everything, which usually the playoffs as a whole are kind of that way too.
D'Amico Ryans also has his hands full this week. Their defense has been great. Their offense still trying to get on track. Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern, Houston will travel to New England to see if they can overtake Drake May and company. Ryans discussed the great season that May had, and certainly to him, looks just as good on film as he thought.
I think Drake is doing a really good job of not making bad decisions with the football. He's doing a really good job of utilizing, where his playmakers are open. He's getting those guys the football, and I think Josh is calling it really well for him to give him, easy plays to make good decisions. And where he's taking that next step is his ability to escape the pocket. I think it's really doesn't get talked about much, but his athletic ability, his ability to escape the pocket, has been really clutch for them. He's made some big runs to really hurt a lot of defenses, so we have to be conscious of that. But he's making good decisions, good young player, has a really bright future, can throw the ball at all 3 levels of the field very well. So they do a good job around him. I think it helps first and foremost with how they run the football. They do a really good job of staying committed to the run game, mixing up their personnel groupings, giving you a lot of different looks, a lot of different runs, and they play physical up front. So they're going to make you, stop the run first, and then you have a quarterback who can drop back, and he can go through his progressions really well and make good decisions with the ball.
Finally, it's going to be cold in Chicago like it is everywhere else in the country coming up Sunday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, expected to be under 5 degrees for that game. Sean McVay discussed with the media how to prepare for such temperatures, and basically McVay said there's almost no way to do it.
Not unless you got, we can go get into an ice freezer, the size of this. And so I was kind of asked about that earlier. We worry about the things that we can control. We do have a lot of guys that have played in some of these cold weather atmospheres and environments, and you're not naive to it, but I also think you don't want to be, so aware of it that it inhibits or paralyzes your ability to be able to move forward. It gets pretty damn cold in Missouri, so I think Mevis has kicked some of these kicks before, but it's not something that we can control, so I'm not going to waste my emotional energy on it. Oh, yeah, it feels like a rock. We are going to supplement practice with a big rock instead of football this week. So, all right. Thanks, guys.
All right, don't see that happening, but I do see a fun game coming up on Sunday night. Coming up next, Robert Linehan joins us to go over the latest in the sports betting scandal category, another one in college basketball. We'll be right back.
they outlined for Koepka are fantastic. I think it's perfect. It is punitive, but it's fair. You've got to levy some sort of fine, so to speak, for defecting, and I think they've done a wonderful job of being equitable and punishing him a bit at the same time. I think Brooks ultimately wants to be playing with the best.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
New York Giants. They fired their head coach, Brian Dable. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Does this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
As we wrap up our discussion of the week on sports betting scandals, you can only think maybe we'll get another one next week at this pace. Robert Linehan is with us from Sport Radar to go over the latest in the government cracking down on sports betting, Robert. And certainly this is a very big one yesterday. Yet another one, by the way, but maybe the most wide-ranging in all in college basketball, where it does appear, at least according to the government and the FBI, that they found a pretty prominent player and several others involved in a point-shaving scheme which transcended college basketball, even went to the Chinese Basketball League. And I guess, Robert, I would ask you, is it just simply put having these regulations and watchdogs on the books here legally in the United States, is that what led to them finding this out? Because it seems to me that this was sort of wide-ranging. And by the way, the people who were involved in this pretty stupid as well, placing big bets on things that you don't normally place bets on.
Hi, Craig. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Certainly, I think you can say that without the regulatory framework of legalized sports betting in this country, you likely would not have been able to uncover this scandal. It's certainly not every day that you have a sports betting scandal that spans from the Chinese Basketball Association to the NCAA. Like you had mentioned, 20 have been indicted. There were 26 individuals that were included in this indictment. And you're correct. Basically, this started in 2022 with 6 fixers reaching out to several members of a Chinese Basketball Association team, basically bribing them to throw a game. They placed quite a large amount of money on the team they were playing. They won. And that's basically what started all of this. The fixers, the 6 fixers, eventually ended up reaching out to 20 former NCAA and even a few current NCAA players, successfully bribed them to shave points in various games from the 2023 season on. And that's basically how it went. But, like I said, and like you sort of alluded to, these bets there were some gigantic bets placed on some interesting teams that were immediately flagged by casinos, by operators where these bets were placed. And that's sort of how this got the ball rolling, this investigation rolling. So yes, without the regulations, without the regulatory watchdogs keeping an eye on what is being bet on certain games, there's a very good chance that it would not have been identified. That it would never have come to this conclusion, come to this indictment. So, while it is a scandal, and while it is, certainly not a good thing, certainly sort of brings into question some of the event manipulation practices that could be going on right now. The regulatory system works. The framework works to identify anything that could be going wrong. ESPN's David Purdom really put it well, where he said yesterday that in the last 2 seasons of NCAA Division I basketball, there have been more than 12,200 games. 29 of those games, 29 from 2023 have been manipulated in some way with this scandal. So it's a very small amount. It was found out, the system works, but still there is quite a lot that needs to be done to ensure that something like this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, it definitely troubling, and the more we learn about this, if it ends up going to court, the better, because we could all use some education on the subject, of course. All right, Robert. Meanwhile, the ball continues to roll in the direction of FanDuel. They've announced that they're going to expand their prediction markets. As we know, they decided to leave the American Gaming Association, and FanDuel, DraftKings, like all these other companies right now, Robert, they're seeing an opportunity to make money. No one is stopping them, regulation or not. So here we go. California, Texas, places where you can't bet legally on sports. This gives you an opportunity to make predictions, not necessarily exactly the same as betting on sports, but pretty similar.
I would say it's very similar, and that is certainly the basis of several state lawsuits that are ongoing right now. But yes, FanDuel predicts. They are now, which is FanDuel's prediction market service, they are now available in some fashion in every single state in America. They launched, FanDuel Predicts launched, I believe it was December 22nd, in just 5 states, but now they are available in every single state in the country. Now, that's not to say sport event contracts, which is sort of the basis of this entire controversy, that's not available in all 50 states. That is only available right now in 18 states. That's available in states where FanDuel is not licensed to offer sports betting. But you did mention California, Texas. Obviously, sports betting is not legalized there. But basically, this new form of prediction markets, which very closely mirrors sports betting, is available in these giant markets. It's also available in Florida, where sports betting is legal, but there's only one legal operator in Hard Rock Bet. So FanDuel, DraftKings, Fanatics, they've all seen this opportunity. They're all taking this opportunity to get into this new business. And like you mentioned, the next big thing that we're all going to have to start looking at is if the states back up some of their threats, that if these operators get involved in the prediction markets, it could put their sports betting licenses at risk. So far, the only state that has taken any action against any prediction market company has been Arizona. Arizona sent Underdog, which obviously is focusing on sport event contracts right now. They sent them in December a notice of intent to revoke their daily fantasy sports license. They're the first commission to take action against any company that offers these sport event contracts outside of a cease and desist letter. But right now, that's been it. And honestly, Underdog is still offering daily fantasy sports in Arizona. I know I reported this week that they're having ongoing discussions with the Arizona Department of Gaming to keep their license. So we'll see. We'll see if any of these states, Ohio has been very vocal, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Massachusetts, they've all been vocal, and many of them are involved in lawsuits, with some of these companies that offer sport event contracts. So the next step is going to be to see if they take any action against them, if they, put any of their sports licenses at risk.
Finally, let's cap it off, Robert, with the discussion on how the NCAA views prediction markets. Naturally, they're making statements, but are they willing to do anything further than yell and scream and say, go away?
Well, of course, they are against prediction markets. The NCAA has been very, they've been very solid in their opinion that even prop betting markets should be completely prohibited and done away with. So they are asking that the prediction markets involving college sports, that sport event contracts involving college sports, be prohibited in the same way that Ohio prohibits college prop bets, that New Jersey prohibits college prop bets. They don't need another form of potential manipulation or pressure on athletes in the form of sport event contracts. It's the same amount of pressure. It'd be the same pressure. It'd be the same amount of pressure from people that are purchasing these sport event contracts. Especially if an athlete doesn't win them money or win their contract money. It like I said before, it mirrors sports betting. So they want to do away with this. They want prohibitions on sport event contracts when it comes to college sports. I don't know if you're going to see it happen, but they're certainly trying to pressure some of these companies to do away with these particular markets.
Robert, thanks for making some time for us here on this Friday. I really appreciate it.
Craig, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me on anytime.
Robert Linehan from Sport Radar. Coming up next, John Lafayette joins us. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away.
The outline for Koepka are fantastic. I think it's perfect. It is punitive, but it's fair. You've got to levy some sort of fine, so to speak, for defecting, and I think they've done a wonderful job of being equitable and punishing him a bit at the same time. I think Brooks ultimately wants to be playing with the best.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
New York Giants. They fired their head coach, Brian Dable. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Joining us now is John Lafayette from The Measure to go over the latest in sports news, notes, information from the media side, ratings, and some marketing as well. John, thanks for coming on the show here on this Friday. Let's get started and discuss television commercials. Certainly streaming and over the air, still very popular, and certainly the Super Bowl is going to have a lot of these as well. In terms of payment, do players and athletes, do they still get paid the same amount that they used to? Is it more? Is it less? Is it still coveted like it used to be?
They're getting paid a ton, Greg. It's you're seeing athletes in more and more commercials, and they're making more and more money. There's a company called XR that handles the payments for commercial productions, and according to XR, athletes, actors, and musicians and other personalities appearing in commercials made more than $1 billion in 2025, and that's up 47% since 2019. Athletes are the fastest growing group in there. They made $250 million for doing commercials, and that's up 106% again since 2019. NBA players, they saw their pays go up 200%, and NFL players were up 145%. And XR says the increase has been fueled by athletes. They have cross-generational appeal, they have high-profile visibility, and with the expansion of sports coverage across linear and streaming, they're just in a lot more demand and a lot more popular when it comes to TV viewers.
It would seem to me, John, there's been so many iconic commercials in the past surrounding some of the biggest athletes that we know. And, I certainly saw Tom Brady doing the Pizza Hut commercial. That was the most recent one that I thought to myself, he's got to be making a lot of money. And I think it sort of tells the story a little bit, John, that no matter how much money these guys have made through playing the game and through endorsements, no matter who the name is, they still have the market to be paid a lot via these commercials as well.
Yeah, Brady is making something like $35 million a year to be an announcer on Fox, and he's sitting there doing Pizza Hut commercials, and Brady is sort of known for being a health nut. So it's sort of peculiar that he's out there pitching pizza. A lot of the other biggest players in the league are all big commercial performers. Patrick Mahomes and the Kelsey brothers, you wouldn't think they need money, but they're out there doing an awful lot of commercials. And now Josh, one of the big stars now is Josh Allen. He's a leading man, and he's doing commercials for a whole ton of companies, whether it's Pepsi, Snickers, Gillette, Wonderful Pistachios, Buffalo Wild Wings, Frito-Lay's, Verizon, and Paramount Plus. I mean, you can go back in history. You remember Joe Namath did those commercials for pantyhose and for Noxzema, and Mean Joe Green for Coke. I mean, this has been a long-standing thing, and athletes are just popular. Shaquille O'Neal is popular. He appears in ads for everything, and it just goes on and on and on.
And so, John, as we get closer and closer to the Super Bowl, that will be the hot topic in a few weeks. Generally speaking, it's over $1 million just for a 30-second ad. Do you anticipate the commercials this year to be any different than last year, or have you gotten a little tip on how much money these are costing this year?
Some people are paying $10 million for a spot, according to NBC. The average is probably closer to $8 million, which is up from the previous year. What we're going to see again is the things that worked. We're going to have celebrities. Like we said, Sabrina Carpenter is going to be in an ad. You're going to see a lot of humor and a lot of family kind of things, because the Super Bowl is the kind of thing that's viewed by everybody. In order to get up to 130 million viewers, it's not just football fans, it's not just guys, it's the whole family gathering around the TV set and watching not just the game, but the commercials and the halftime show.
And so, John, with the football season, certainly coming to an end, we've got the college football championship on Monday night, World Baseball Classic, World Cup also coming up this year. What are some of the things that you'll be following as the winter ends and the spring comes? Hopefully sooner than later. I know cold by you.
Well, yeah, I'm in Chicago, so I'm looking forward to seeing the Bears and the Rams play on Sunday night. It's going to be cold. That should help out the Bears, and it's going to probably draw a big rating. Last time the Bears played, they played on Amazon, and that turned out to be the biggest streaming ratings of all time. More than 31 million people tuned in to watch. So if we're watching sports and we're watching streaming, we've got another good example that people will find it if it's on streaming on Amazon. So that's a big opportunity. The next big sports event is going to be the Super Bowl. Then you've got the Olympics coming right after that, and that's going to be huge as well.
So, John, when it comes to the Olympics, do you have any plans to cover that extensively? Do you think it'll be a big win for NBC? Because the Winter Olympics are, hit or miss at different times.
The Olympics have been challenged because of COVID. There weren't a lot of people in the stands in either Japan or in China. But this year, they're expecting it to be the highest-rated Olympics ever, with 2 out of 3 Americans tuning in. They've already sold out all of the ads for more than $1 billion. So I think it's going to be a bigger success than in the past. The U.S. team in particular is supposed to be very strong with the women's skaters, the men's skaters. You got the people doing quad jumps, and then you're going to have the return of the the professional hockey players from the NHL. So you're going to have a big Canadians versus U.S. Narrative that's going to drive a lot of viewership.
All right, John, have a great weekend. Thanks again for coming on.
Good to see you. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
All right, John Lafayette from The Measure joining us to go over the latest in sports, media, commercials, contracts, and everything else. By the way, for those of you getting ready to place your bets this weekend, you certainly have a lot of options, but there's a great option to track your bets. That's via the SportsGrid app. Just take out your phone, iPhone or Android. We've got it available for you. It is the SportsGrid app, and you can also stream us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just scan that QR code right there. It's absolutely free and available to all of you who are out there. Great streaming options for the NFL games this weekend. I know you're going to be watching, maybe looking for a prop bet or two. Our guys and girls have you covered, so make sure you tune in this weekend via the SportsGrid app. We got you taken care of. By the way, as we mentioned earlier in the show, another free agent signing after the Kyle Tucker signing last night by the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Mets seemingly were interested in Tucker. They didn't get him, so they have pivoted and signed Bo Bichette to a 3-year contract. He also has a couple opt-outs, so this $42 million salary that he'll be earning could potentially only be for 1 year if he decides to opt out at the end of the season. We'll take a quick time out, and we'll be back with more NewsWire right after this.
The outline for Koepka are fantastic. I think it's perfect. It is punitive, but it's fair. You've got to levy some sort of fine, so to speak, for defecting, and I think they've done a wonderful job of being equitable and punishing him a bit at the same time. I think Brooks ultimately wants to be playing with the best.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
New York Giants. They fired their head coach, Brian Dable. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Can't wait to get to our next video. It's Brady Cannon interviewing the head of sales at Kubea, Caroline Bjorkman. Caroline, very heavily involved in the iGaming space. And as you know, at the G2E conference, it was one of the very hot topics being talked about, especially the idea of betting on iGaming as well. So stay on the grid for that. We'll play that interview for you. And then we'll be joined by Mike Blewett to go over the slate in the National Football League. We got plenty to come here this weekend, covering some football Saturday, Sunday, and Monday for the national championship. So here's Brady with Caroline the latest on iGaming.
G2E Day 3 2025, and the star-studded list of guests continues to roll in here to the set at SportsGrid. Thank you again for joining us. Brady Cannon here with you, and I am joined now by Caroline Bjorkman. She is the head of sales for Cubea, and I guessed correctly, Bjorkman is a Swedish name, and sure enough, she is based in Stockholm, Sweden. Thank you so much for making it all the way out to Las Vegas and joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Director of Sales, Cubea, what does Cubea do?
Cubea is a platform. So we are a platform provider. The company was founded 2007 in Stockholm, Sweden. And we help operators who want to have their own casino or sportsbook or both. Yeah, that's what we do.
Is it all online?
Everything is online, yes.
Okay, so I'm a guy and I decide I want to get into online gaming. And you approach me and say, hey, we can help you. How so?
We help you with everything, basically. So we help you with the games, with the payment solutions, with the design of your casino. Everything you need, we will be here for you.
One-stop shop.
One-stop shop, yes.
Do you also have like odds makers for sports?
We have Sportsbook integrated into our platform, yes. So yes, we can support that as well.
So do you work with companies, say like a BetMGM or you know, I'm just thinking any casino. I guess it's not land-based, right?
Exactly. Everything is online. So the customers that we work with, they have their own online casinos and sportsbooks.
Okay, and so is there a sportsbook that I might know the name of that you work with?
For example, we work with Betsby, which is a partner to us.
Now,
they're a partner of us, so we have an integration with them.
Okay.
Yes.
And how much of your business is the United States?
At the moment, nothing.
Oh, really?
And that's why I'm here.
All right, yeah, so tell me about it. How's it gone so far this week?
So far, so good. This is our first time here at G2E, and I'm very happy to be here to learn and explore the pulse in the market and to do some brand awareness. We're just starting here, and again, I'm happy for that.
Were you kind of blown away when you walked in here and like, wow?
Yes, kind of. I've been to many shows, but I must say I was a bit blown away. I didn't expect it to be this big, actually.
I've lived in Las Vegas a long time. I don't go to a bunch of shows. This is pretty much the one I only attend on a regular basis. It's incredibly impressive. You obviously do this for a living. Is there anything that compares to this?
Yes, I would say that there are some great big shows in Europe as well.
Okay.
ICE, for example, is big, and we also have the SBC, which is
yeah,
also
I've
big.
heard people mention that ICE, it's called?
ICE, exactly, yes, which is also a big exhibition. So there are a few ones up there as well, yeah.
Now, what has your week mostly consisted of? Are you kind of walking the floor and looking at products, or have you gone to a lot of the seminars?
No, I've mostly been walking the floor, trying to learn which are the challenges here, which are the new features, and what's the goal going forward. At Cubea, we're always trying to evolve rapidly together with how the industry is rapidly evolving. And in order for us to be able to do that, we need to understand at all times what are the nice to haves, but also what are the needs to have now and also going forward.
So it's been very educational, the trip for you?
Very, yes.
And have you also tried to drum up new business?
I always do that as a salesperson.
Right, sure.
However, it's very important in the beginning of trying to entering a new market to understand the market and understand the needs and try to adapt. So at this stage, that's what I'm doing, and then I'll take it from there.
So what is next, Caroline? Obviously, you've taken this job. You're relatively new to the head of sales at Cubea.
Yeah.
What's new and exciting? Where do you see this going for you in the next few years?
I've always had the philosophy of working very customer-centric, and I will continue to do that. I will continue to learn and just try to help Cubea forward as much as I can from my position, yeah.
Have you been to Las Vegas before?
No, never.
What do you think?
I really do like it. It's amazing.
Well, we'll see you back here next year, yeah?
Absolutely.
All right, that's Caroline Bjorkman. She is the head of sales for Cubea in Stockholm, Sweden. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
they outlined for Koepka are fantastic. I think it's perfect. It is punitive, but it's fair. You've got to levy some sort of fine, so to speak, for defecting, and I think they've done a wonderful job of being equitable and punishing him a bit at the same time. I think Brooks ultimately wants to be playing with the best.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
New York Giants. They fired their head coach, Brian Dable. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Time to chop it up National Football League style with our buddy Mike Blewett, getting ready to host In-Game Live Pro Football Game Day coming up this weekend as well. And Mike certainly had his fair share of NFL games last weekend. One in particular didn't go his way. I know Monday night was sort of a disappointing night, Mike, but thanks for coming on the show. I'd love to get into it here with you. I guess we could start with the idea that maybe Mike Tomlin would end up coaching in the future for Pittsburgh. He decides to resign after 19 years as a head coach. John Harbaugh playing musical chairs, now going, it looks like, to the New York Giants. Quite a bit of movement going on this week.
No doubt. And I'll say, just sort of independently on the Steelers, I think it's been discussed quite a bit. We've certainly talked about it on this show and on our show on Sundays on In-Game Live. And I didn't think that I thought some people were overplaying the Harbaugh and Tomlin moves. I would have bet, not a lot of money, but I would have bet against both of those teams changing head coaches. I can't say I'm blown away by Tomlin. It's 19 years. It's a long time to have that job. Now, interestingly, the last three guys that had that job had it for a relatively time, and I'm in my 50s and I've only seen the Steelers change head coaches twice. This will be the third time. So 19 years, a really long time. I think he's a great coach. I really genuinely like his personality and the way he interacted with the team, but it is a 10-year playoff drought. And I think anybody would feel pressure, and maybe the Steelers, I'm still reading a lot of stories about it, and maybe the Steelers gave him some opportunity to walk away with his dignity, but I think he'd probably been thinking about this, Craig. The Aaron Rodgers route was a very specific plan. It wasn't a long-term one. So I think that's maybe why they took that swing as an organization and didn't go for a rookie quarterback that needs long-term development. They wanted to take a shot and see if they could get on a good run in the playoffs. Didn't happen. 7-6 in the fourth quarter. I was like, it's ugly, but I'll take it. It just all fell apart in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, it did. Steelers will move on. That'll be a big primary job. We'll see who ends up getting that one. Oh, yeah. So what do you think? John Harbaugh did not take long on this one, Mike. Like, real quick, went to the Giants. Yeah. I know they're still sorting this out. There's a lot of different scuttle as to why he would have taken this job. I guess, number one, being the fact that it's a prominent market in New York, so that's certainly good for him. Number two, really got to like the offense that they built already with Dart and Scattaboo and Neighbors all healthy coming back. Good players on the defense, high draft pick. A pretty good spot, fair to say, in the NFL. Do you think that's just why Harbaugh took it? Because there's no shortage of jobs available this go around.
You certainly could have taken much more time to make some decisions, but they made him one of the highest paid coaches. It's a historically respected franchise that does have the quarterback and some other young pieces. I do think that the Giants should have won more games this year, but I think there's a little bit of overplaying how good this roster is. I think they have some really nice young pieces, but you and I wouldn't sit here today and say that Jackson Dart is a no doubter. I like his attitude. I think he's really competitive. I think he's got talent, but I wouldn't call him a no doubter like we have some of the other guys that have come into the league. So it's going to be up to Harbaugh to develop him. I think the Ravens handled it fine. There was a lot of hand wringing as to how everything was handled. It is the most unique situation in that it seems that a lot of people thought, even within the building, thought on Monday that he'd be back. And then by Tuesday, he was gone at the end of the season. So there's a lot of good jobs out there. You're right. Like the Ravens job is open. But when you start scanning the respect of the franchise, the pieces that are there, like you could look at the Titans and say, I have a relatively blank slate and have a talented quarterback. But maybe that slate is too blank. And that ownership group fired Mike Vrabel. You have to consider that when you're taking the job. So I'm really curious to see how those things play out with these head coaching jobs. You did mention Pittsburgh. I'd keep an eye on Brian Flores for that. He's coached there before. He's the type of guy that they might like to be in there, but they might take their time and interview as many people as possible.
Yeah, and look, there's still a lot of teams left playing in the playoffs right now, 8 to be exact, and some coaches are going to get poached from there too. So let's begin with a preview of the first game on the board, which to me is one of the more exciting ones. I think it will be between the Bills and the Broncos. It's the marquee guy still remaining in the playoffs, not Mahomes, not Lamar. It is Josh Allen. The Bills opened as a 1.5 favorite, Mike, just like they did against Jacksonville. I am surprised that the Broncos are a favorite here, but I guess the books are taking money on Denver. Total 46.5. Does the Bills have another, magic hat to pull out here? It's like a one-man show, it feels like. If Allen has a big game, they win, and if not, Denver moves on.
Yeah, to some extent it does feel like that, but I do have to give the Bills defense some credit for limiting the Jaguars. It wasn't a crazy shootout of a game. Jags got a big touchdown late. Bills come back and run Josh Allen down the field in a bunch of big plays in order to win that game. So I think the Bills defense held up against the Jaguars in a way that you can feel better about them going into this game. And I think I said last week, I have to bet on Josh Allen one more time. I might give it one more. They are my preseason pick. It's hard to walk away from your preseason pick when they're in the final 8, Craig. But playing in Denver is always going to be difficult. I think that because the defense has some no-name components to it, and the offense, maybe the receiving core, doesn't have an top of the tier wide receiving core, I think it makes some people doubt them in a way that you shouldn't. I think Sean Payton is one of the best coaches in the NFL. I think Bo Nix is being crafted in the way that he crafted Drew Brees, to whatever extent that they can be a match.
Right.
And I think you need to pay attention to names like Zach Allen and Nick Bonito and guys that you maybe haven't spent as much time watching outside of Patrick Surtain, and his presence on the field is a huge one. So I think that I have to go with the Bills as my preseason pick, but independent of that, I think Sean Payton has the coaching advantage over Sean McDermott, and the Bills defense is going to have to step up in a big way. The good news is the Broncos haven't wowed us offensively week in, week out this year.
The Sam Darnold injury was interesting because immediately I saw the odds makers take it off the board, but it's popped back up at the same line, ironically, with Seattle -7 against San Francisco. I wonder why we even learned about that injury if it's not significant. The line is certainly saying it's not. Total 44.5 The 49ers have battled very hard to get to this point. They battled very hard with Seattle a couple of weeks ago, right down to the wire that game went. You think it's the same script going into Sunday or Saturday night?
Yeah, your mind wanders to, is there a bit of gamesmanship with this injury report? I don't think that, but your mind certainly can wander towards that. 7 points is a hell of a lot to play a divisional opponent. Now they did beat them by 10 last time out. Are they able to limit them in the same way this time around? It was an incredibly impressive win at Philly. People definitely want to blame Philly more than give the Niners credit. That continues to happen. I just think 7 points is too many. I think Seattle gets the win, but give me a touchdown. I'm fine with taking a touchdown on this one, Craig. I don't think this is a blowout or that comfortable of a win.
Yeah, 49ers have played very close with virtually every opponent this season, even in losses. So that would certainly indicate that. All right, Mike is going to stick around with us. Coming up next, we will preview the Texans and Patriots, also the Rams and Bears. And as a programming reminder for those of you in postseason fantasy football like me, or maybe looking to play some daily fantasy, you can catch Fantasy Sports Today coming up today at 3 o'clock Eastern with me and George Kurtz, and then Sunday morning with Joe Pisapia and Matt Stryker on their Sunday edition of FST, Fantasy Sports Today. We'll be back with Mike Blewett once more to go over the rest of the NFL slate right after this. Buy or sell. Tua has made his last start for the Dolphins. Feels like Sam went easy on this one.
If I could be that crazy guy, was it Jim Cramer? Buy. Yeah, there's no way he's playing for the Dolphins again. After he said that statement, there was no way in hell anyway. But once again, new coach, new GM. I don't know how they're going to do the cap hit. It's massive.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
New York Giants. They fired their head coach, Brian Dable. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
All right, welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Mike Blewett will be on the air Sunday during the game that we're going to go over next in the Pro Football Today in-game live edition of Texans versus Patriots. An interesting, Mike, initially when the NFL was putting out the schedule, as you could see, it said Pittsburgh/Houston, and that game was listed second of the two games. But with Houston winning, what a shot at them, right? They're like, screw that. We're not going to put that game on at night. Let's make this one the day game. Houston plays New England. They're getting 3 points total, 40.5. Definitely one of those games, Mike, where I got to say, if Houston plays the defense they played against Pittsburgh, they're probably going to be moving on to the next round. But I mean, I don't know how much better they can play in that game than they can. I mean, they were just so good against them.
True. But you also saw the offense turn the ball over 3 times and have other miscues, other fumbles that they recovered. In fact, Stroud had kind of a big play at one point. He picked up a fumbled snap and avoided a huge loss on a play. He threw a really bad interception in the red zone. You kind of got the Texans' experience on Monday night against the Steelers. But if you asked me, independent of my preseason picks or anything that was who they were going to face going into this postseason, I think I would told you that the Texans had a real shot to make it all the way to the Super Bowl. If they play clean offensively, I think they can win this game. But I think it's also an awesome matchup between 2 of the top head coaches in the league. I don't know that D'Amico Ryans gets talked about in that upper echelon enough, but this defense is incredible this year. It's one of the best defenses we've seen in some time. I think we've seen the Eagles and the Niners in spurts over the last few seasons play like this, but dominant in really every game, running over the Steelers offense. You know, they let up 2 or 3 plays at the beginning of the game, and after that, nothing. Steelers were averaging third and more than 11 yards. So I think that they have a real opportunity here. This is the tightest game for me. Again, I'm going to take the points on this one because I think it's probably a field goal game. I don't think either team runs away with it. They both have a real shot. I don't think I'm denigrating the Patriots at all to say I think they could lose, but I'm going to take the points here because the Texans, independent, like I said, of everything else, would be my Super Bowl pick.
And certainly, it's kind of hard, Mike, right now to close your eyes and envision this. And I'm sure the NFL is shuddering about this. There's a real chance it's a Houston-Denver AFC championship next week. I mean, think about that. Houston-Denver, like, ugh. Like, I mean, look, I will still be interested, and you still will be interested, but that is not the matchup that the NFL wants next week.
I mean,
they may get
Craig,
it.
you could have a Houston Rams Super Bowl. That is not great. And as much as those 2 cities have huge populations, it's not great for ratings. Yes, 115 million people are going to watch, but you don't get the same amount of buzz because the Rams just don't have that kind of fan base. The Rams played Cincinnati. It was a relatively tame Super Bowl. An awesome game to watch, and that's really all you and I are going to be hoping for. But Houston does not quite have the electric fan base that New England would have, or clearly Buffalo making a Super Bowl would have.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Buffalo getting there is what most people would want for that. But you do have 2 big markets, even though you're right, the fan base for LA is not what it is for some of the other teams, including the Bears. That would be a huge ratings winner if they were able to pull this off and get to the NFC Championship. They're 3.5-point dogs. Rams have basically, honestly, Mike, when you think about it, been probably the NFL's best team if their special teams was not horrendous, right? Like they would be the very best team and it wouldn't be close to the NFL, but they'd be giving these games away with block kicks and punts and disasters. They fire the coach, still doesn't work. Total is 48.5, Sunday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Odds makers are telling us this is going to be the most fun game of the weekend. Do you think?
Will this be the most fun game of the weekend? I'm going to say no. But this is also, in my opinion, year after year, the best weekend of football you can watch. Even if you're a college football fan, you're going to pick something else. But as somebody that loves both sports, I think this is the best. This is the highest level of football. Doesn't mean we can't see a blowout, but we're going to see excellent quarterback play in a bunch of these games, MVPs and Josh Allen and everything else. So I'm really concerned about the Rams and the way, to your point, the way the special teams has operated. However, how many times can Caleb pull this off? How many times can it happen? I think their luck's going to run out. I think they're a good team and can absolutely beat the Rams for the reasons we just stated. but I'm going to go with the Rams on this one. I think they go on the road, get the victory, and I don't think Sean McVay will allow this team to sort of leak points late in the game in the way that the Packers did. So I think that they'll get out to a lead. The key for the Bears is going to be the same thing as always. They have to get Stafford to turn the ball over. I don't think he does. So the 3.5, the hook, concerns me a little bit, but I can see the Rams getting a 4-point win. I'm going to lay the points with the Rams on the road. I think they get the victory.
The thing that's sort of perplexing to me is that it only seems like the Rams win and win big when Puka Nacua goes off. Why can't they double this guy? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, unless he is Jerry Rice, or Randy Moss, which I don't think he is. I think he's great, but I don't think he's those guys. This guy is 8 catches, 150, and 3 touchdowns, like every game. Like, why don't they just let Devontae Adams go wild? I don't get it.
Totally agree. I've read and listened to so much about the Rams this year relating to that. And it has a lot to do with the formation. They do a lot of 13 personnel, 3 tight ends out there, and they're able to run out of those formations. He's switched up those formations during the year. So he goes 11 personnel to 13 personnel. And I think it often gives Puka Nacua an opportunity to run free. You're right. They should double him, but then you're dealing with multiple tight ends on the other side of it.
Okay, so fine. Let that happen. Maybe you'll win. It's a better scenario. Thanks, Mike. Have a good weekend. Buy or sell. Tua has made his last start for the Dolphins. Feels like Sam went easy on this one.
If I could be that crazy guy, was it Jim Cramer? Buy. Yeah, there's no way he's playing for the Dolphins again. After he said that statement, there was no way in hell anyway. But once again, new coach, new GM. I don't know how they're going to do the cap hit. It's massive.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
New York Giants. They fired their head coach, Brian Dable. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. So a major deal signed yesterday by Kyle Tucker to join the Los Angeles Dodgers of all teams. Yikes. But there was also a trade that happened yesterday in baseball that nobody paid any attention to. We'll discuss that. Also, Tiger Woods gives away a gift at his birthday. And if you want to participate in the upcoming Super Bowl in Santa Clara and be part of the halftime show, you're going to get measured. This is true. Time now for some last licks. Amidst the big free agent signings yesterday, Tucker to the Dodgers, Bo Bichette to the New York Mets. That's what happened the last 24 hours. It was also a trade yesterday in baseball. Don't see a three-way trade very often, in fact, involving big league players, but here we go. Tampa Bay, Cincinnati, and the Angels, those are the three participants in this one. Outfielder Josh Lowe, probably the best player in the deal, although Tampa's trading him, so maybe not. He goes to the Angels. Gavin Lux goes from the Cincinnati Reds to the Rays, and Chris Clark also goes to the Rays, a pitcher, and left-handed reliever Brock Burke goes from the Angels to the Reds. So those of you sort of disseminating how this is going to work, anytime the Rays are involved in a trade, you have to think they know what they're doing. So maybe Gavin Lux takes a big step forward. He took a big step back, leaving the Dodgers for the Reds last season. And also Josh Lowe, who had a 20 home run, 20 stolen base season a couple of years ago. Maybe this is exactly what the Angels need. We will see. But these kind of things can fly under the radar when big signings are made. And come spring training, which is in, if I'm not mistaken, less than a month from now, we'll be able to break a lot more down for you as well. This past week, one of the greatest golfers of all time, his name, Tiger Woods. He had a birthday party in Jupiter, Florida, that is. And he turned 50 years old. Wow, I feel old too. Tiger Woods is 50. He had it at a foundation event. And at the party, guess what he did? He gave away a gift to everybody who showed up. It was a signed Upper Deck golf card. How about that? 415 made, each going to an individual guest who came to the party. Now, signed cards from Tiger Woods are in the hundreds, and graded cards signed are in the thousands. So a really nice collectible given away by Tiger at his very own birthday party. I thought when you have a birthday party, what happens is people send you the gifts. Maybe people did get Tiger Woods. What do you even get for Tiger Woods? Guy's got millions and millions of dollars. But either way, that was that. I wonder if that card, somebody out of the 415 tries to sell that thing. That would be funny, right? If that ended up somewhere on Golden or eBay or somewhere else, I guess we'll have to take a look. Okay, Bad Bunny is part of the Super Bowl halftime show. I don't know if you knew this by now, but we've been talking about it for months. And if you want to participate in the halftime show in Santa Clara, this is a very odd requirement. A height requirement. Oh my gosh. So screenshots of the field team application, which requires participants to reach between 5'7" and 6 feet, have been making the rounds on social media and TikTok. That's right. Coming up next month, if you want to be part of the halftime show, meaning that you're on the field, dancing, whatever it is, you got to be between 5'7" and 6 feet. Why is this the case? I guess they want you to be seen? Maybe? I have no idea. But first time ever I've heard of anything like this. The good news is I fit right in between that 5'7" and 6 foot. A little slightly above 5'7". I fit in the 5'8" category, so that's good for me. My son, he claims I'm 5'7". I've measured it. It is 5'8", absolutely 5'8". 100% measured. All right, that'll do it for the show today. Want to thank our great guests here on the program: James Young, Robert Linehan, John Lafayette, Mike Blewett. Those were our guests. A reminder, after a short lunch break, I'll be back with you guys at 3 o'clock Eastern with George Kurtz as we break everything down for you in the world of fantasy football, approaching the AFC NFC Championship. And of course, we got Championship Monday coming up on Monday night. Folks, you want to stay tuned because we've got a college football national championship to discuss. It is here in my backyard in South Florida, Miami Hurricanes. We didn't do a lot on that today. Miami Hurricanes taking on Indiana. So make sure you join me back on Monday for that edition of the show. Also, to all of you where it is super cold out there, stay warm. I know this is the coldest weekend thus far of the year. So make sure you do that. Stay warm, bundle up, because we want to have you back here for our next edition of NewsWire. That's 12 o'clock Eastern, exclusively here on SportsGrid. Thanks again to my director, Luke, for my producer, Frank. I'm Craig Bish. Enjoy the weekend and coverage of all the National Football League and NBA games, as well as some hockey as well. We naturally have it all covered for you where it's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Have a great weekend, everyone. I will see you back here on Monday.